Good afternoon. Welcome to Community and Technology, where we connect the global community with news, information, and resources that we hope will help improve your life. I'm Stu Reid. I'm here with a special guest, Mr. Corey Stedman, cryptocurrency expert extraordinaire. Corey, welcome back to the show. You've been on before a couple years back. Welcome back.
Yes. Thank you for having me. Really
Yeah.
appreciate it. Thank
Okay.
you.
Well, Corey is an expert on cryptocurrency, and he has a book that's coming out, if it's not out already, Cryptocurrency Alphabet.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
out. It's out on Gumroad.
it is out. Okay. Well, before we get into your book, and I definitely want you to talk about it and tell our listeners and viewers about it, but just give us a little bit of background about yourself, Corey, and how you got into cryptocurrency and just the kind of the state of things today.
Certainly. So, my name is Corey Stedman. I'm the CEO of Greenfire. We are building products that bridge the cryptocurrency ecosystem to the real world. And my background is in IT. I've been in IT for over 15 years. And being that I'm really involved in the open source community or use open source products, Bitcoin came across, my purview um, in 2010, 2011, and I bought my first Bitcoin in 2013. Um, Taught classes in regards to it, and as of recently, been working on building out a cryptocurrency bookkeeping and accounting wallet, um, which essentially is it's a way to store your cryptocurrency and apply generally accepted accounting principles to your cryptocurrency, much like QuickBooks does for fiat cash.
Hmm.
And so we believe that building out this critical piece of infrastructure, that it would make it a whole lot easier for accountants, small businesses, and VCs and avid traders to manage their cryptocurrency across multiple cryptocurrencies from different sources as well. And so essentially it serves as a one-stop hub, a one-stop application to manage your cryptocurrency, much like you would manage your money in your bank account. But you have total self-custody of it.
Mhm.
So that's what I've been working on, in addition to the book.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, bring us kind of up to speed. I think you were last on the show. It had to be at least 3 years ago, maybe even further. Definitely pre-pandemic was the last time you were on. So, what has happened in the cryptocurrency market between then and now? I know there's been one of the big clearing houses imploded, and there's this stuff about Benance. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that name right, but give us an update as to where the industry is and how it's developed over the last 3 years or so.
Yeah, so as with any market, there's ups and downs. What's interesting about the cryptocurrency ecosystem is that it's very nascent, it's new. There's a lot of shiny objects, and people do get distracted. There are distractions. However, in terms of the development side, there has been a lot of work being done where we have major ecosystems that have developed. So you have the Algorand, you have the Solana, the Tezos, the Ethereum, um,
Are those different
Polkadot,
currencies? Are those
and
different
these are
currencies,
all
Corey?
these are all different currencies that what's unique about them is that they support smart contracts. So a smart contract is essentially rules and triggers or rules or instructions that execute upon certain conditions or triggers. And it's analogous to having a dollar, right? And when I pass it to you, the instructions that I write in the periphery of the dollar execute when you take it from my hand. So it's analogous to something like that. And it really gives cryptocurrency its power because you can do things with money that was not possible ever before.
Like what? Give us
Um,
an example. Break that down if you would.
so for instance, you can use it to power. real world applications. You can use it to pull data from the real world into other applications. Those are called oracles. You can use it to run a decentralized exchange, such as Uniswap or SushiSwap um, or a number of others, where one person and the other, they still have self custody of their asset, but they can trade on this decentralized exchange and lend and borrow against their assets, which you don't see in the traditional fiat world. So there's a number of things that smart contracts can do that have expanded the use case of money that we just have not seen in the traditional world. But back to your question, from pre-pandemic up until now, there has been the rise of DeFi, which is decentralized finance, and the rise of NFTs, non-fungible tokens. And so in regards to DeFi, DeFi is essentially decentralized finance, meaning to say you don't need a centralized party or third party to interact financially with another person. So if I want to take out a loan against my assets, normally you go to a bank and there's a long process X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
In DeFi, you present your assets, you ask for the loan, and someone else who's willing to lend you or provide the loan, they see your assets and then they provide the loan based on your assets, and it's all done decentralized.
So you
Using
just kind
smart
of go into the
contracts.
open market, Corey, and just kind of putting it out there, and whoever responds, there you got it. Is that how it works?
Exactly,
Uh-huh.
exactly. And so this really changes things just in terms of, historically, in our community, we have not always been able to get loans and get loans at a favorable rate. So this
Mm-hmm.
changes the dynamics of things. In regards to NFTs, non-fungible tokens, non-fungible tokens is not a new thing per se. There are earlier attempts of NFTs. So there's CryptoKitties, there were CryptoPunks, there were colored tokens. But in this sudden rise, you have NFTs, most famously the Bored Ape Yacht Club. And people normally associate NFTs with just pictures, when it's really not just pictures, it's more than that. So with the blockchain, the most obvious use case of the blockchain was the transfer of value, money. With NFTs, the most obvious use case of NFTs is pictures, right? But it's much more than that, where you can store records, you can store music, you can store video, all this stuff where it's preserved forever. And so what people don't understand about NFTs in regards to the pictures is that before NFTs, digital artists, they rarely got paid for non-commissioned work. They rarely got recognition. And when I say recognition, means to say we all have wallpapers we've downloaded that we don't know who created it. We just, oh, it's cool, we download it, right? Then on top of that, when they did sell their digital work, they did not get a royalty on secondary sales. And artists in general rarely see royalties on secondary sales. And these are visual artists I'm referring to, right? What NFTs solve is that there's now a permanent record of who the artist is, right? They get paid for their work, right? And they receive royalties on their work. In the art world, there's provenance, where as art moves from one hand to the next hand to the next hand, there's a record of who handled it at what point, right? But that did not exist in the digital world. And even in the real world, it's not very well taken care of. NFTs solve this problem. So now artists are able to sell their work, they're able to get royalties, and they get recognition. That was not possible before. Now the NFT market, it went up and then it came down. But even though the value of the art came down in general, right? And art is very subjective. Um, and we know valuations of art, even in the real world, can be outrageous. Um, the I What's different than art in the real world versus art in the NFT space is that the art in the NFT space is about community. So a lot of what people are missing is that these pictures of apes or whatever, right? It's about creating communities where within that community, there's perks, there's benefits, there's community, there's connection that you just don't see. And it's not just about buying NFTs and trying to flip it for a higher price.
But how's that community created, Corey? Kind of break that down for our audience who's not familiar.
So
I mean, I understand it exists digitally, but how does the community thing develop as a result of the NFTs?
yeah, so you will buy an NFT, right? And you are now a holder, which grants you access to like a private Discord server or a Telegram group, and you're able to communicate, chat with other people who are also uh, NFT holders as well. And it's just like a country club where you can get perks, you can get free stuff, you can get early access to stuff. You can go to concerts, all sorts of things, meet up in real life, which people don't really understand. You don't get that, when you buy a Monet per se, or or like any kind of other art,
Right. So the marketplace itself is
it's a
very
little
public. I
bit
guess
different.
that's part of the difference. Is that right?
It's public, it's transparent. They do a lot of things openly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so the NFTs you said are going up and then going down. What is the state of NFTs today? Where I know a couple
I
years ago we
mean,
were hearing a lot about it, but not so much today.
mhm.
How would you characterize it today?
Well, I mean, NFTs haven't died at all. The communities are still vibrant. I think one thing that people need to understand is that um, just because you are not in the forest doesn't mean that when trees fall, they don't make sounds. Mean to say that just because the media is not really talking about NFTs as much as they were before, doesn't mean that NFTs have suddenly died out. Um, they're still around, they're still making progress, they're still building. They actually fund other projects, they do a lot of things. So the ecosystem is still very vibrant. I have NFTs that I've minted on the Tezos blockchain. I use a NFT marketplace called Object, and it specifically caters to the Tezos ecosystem. Um, and I was able to mint my album. So I made a beat album, like Jay Dilla Donuts. I minted two of my albums on that platform, and I got a sale. So, and there's also a royalty attached to it. So if that person decides to resell it, I would get a portion of that sale.
Okay, so it's NFTs are alive and well.
Yes, yes, they are.
So now, what's happening with the clearing houses? I don't know if I'm using the right name, but they're
That's
clearing houses,
not
right?
a they're exchanges, but
Exchanges.
yeah, they're exchanges. I mean, I wouldn't characterize them as clearing houses per se. Sometimes they may depend, but generally speaking, they are called exchanges.
Okay.
So what an exchange is, so I guess to give some background on exchanges, um exchanges started out, generally speaking, almost as hobbies. They were not they were not essentially considered to be like banks, right? Even though they are functionally like a bank in a sense. Um, but they started off as hobbies, right? So one of the first implosions was um was Mount Gox. Um, and there was some like insider stuff with that, and not insider stuff in the sense that a hacker had gotten access to it some way, somehow, and they drained that exchange till it imploded. Um, in regards to FTX, which is recent, that what people don't understand about banks versus exchanges that with a bank, when you put your money in a bank, your money is not just sitting there. Your money is outside exercising for the bank. They're lending it out, they're investing it, they're doing all sorts of stuff with your money, right?
Hmm.
But in the cryptocurrency ecosystem, there's a common understanding that when you put your Bitcoin or you put your Ethereum or you put your whatever in an exchange, that is always one to one. Now, how exchanges make money is that they make money off of the trades that occur, right? But then also on withdrawal. So with a bank, when you're trying to withdraw your money, um, there's no fee to withdraw your money, right? If you wanted to close your account, you just close your account, right? Um, with an exchange, there is a fee. They may take like, 1% or 2%, depending on what the currency is, right? And what happened with FTX is that they're taking users' deposits and lending it out or just using it for themselves, which is 100% fraudulent, right? Um, but that is not common in the cryptocurrency ecosystem amongst the exchanges, right? If they have lending services, they'll say, well, we have lending services and we and there's an understanding that their that their money is there, right? That they're not using it to enrich themselves, right? But in the case of FTX, they were specifically using it to enrich themselves, and then they're taking people's money and then funneling it to another company called Alameda that was not only trading on FTX, but they're investing in other projects as well. So it was an entire mess, right? Um, and they should have been audited a whole lot sooner. Um, and yeah, they should have been audited a whole lot sooner. And when I say audit, I mean proof of reserves, which a lot of other exchanges had kind of tried to do beforehand, but there needs to be a concerted industry-wide effort where there is proof of reserves, regular quarterly audits, and some kind of insurance where if someone is insolvent because of lending and then there's a run on the exchange or some kind of margin call or whatever, that other people are part of the consortium can cover them through some kind of insurance policy in a sense. No different than what the banks did in regards to um, SVB and other banks that were shaky. SVB obviously, it imploded, but there needs to be some kind of mechanism in place to prevent that. Now, in regards to Binance, Binance is really interesting because they're the largest exchange on the planet right now, um, and they do a lot of things. Um, right now, the SEC is going after them, but the issue with Gary Gensler going after Binance is that he had previously applied to work for them, and they declined. And it seems like a conflict of interest. And then on top of that, it seems like there's some bitterness involved, and he is on this crusade to say that, hey, we are the SEC and we're here to protect the public against these certain currencies because we believe they're unregistered securities. However, he's not providing clarity. He's arbitrarily going after different exchanges, even when they have communicated and expressed interest that they do want to work with the SEC. And the currencies that they are trying to suggest are securities, many of them are not, right? Because they're sufficiently decentralized, they are full layer one blockchains. Um, they are, or they're layer two scaling solutions. And then on top of that, they're equivalent to other currencies that he said are not securities. So there's a lot of confusion, and it seems that this is deliberate and by design, and they pulled in Binance into this as a way of muddying the waters.
Hmm.
And a
So, I
lot
mean,
of people share that.
what's the agenda here, Corey? Do you think vested interests are trying to stop digital currency and cryptocurrency? What's the big picture? What's going on, big picture wise here?
I think the big picture wise is that um, I think it's a mix of things, right? Um, Whenever you have a critic about any kind of technology or anything, right, you need to understand their context, who they are, right? And so during the TikTok congressional hearings, right, what became painfully obvious is the lack of understanding of technology by our elected officials, right? Um, they were asking questions that were not well informed, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so in regards to cryptocurrency, right? Cryptocurrency is it is a layered technology. Um, if anyone said it was simplistic or simple, they're not telling you the truth. Um, Cryptocurrency solves problems that many of us did not realize were actual problems. One of the things is that it applies physical properties to digital assets, right? We never understood that to be a problem in the computing space until the blockchain solved that. And so why I bring that up is that a lot of these people who are critiquing or trying to or appear to be trying to pull down cryptocurrency is that they themselves don't really have a grasp of what the technology is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for you to be able to critique something in good faith, you need to understand it in good faith. You need to understand it in totality. I do think that some of them um, they may be, you know, they have good intentions, right? Because they're saying, well, FTX collapse, this collapse, whatever. Well, we need to protect the public. Whereas, but then there's also others that are operating in bad faith. I do think Gary Gensler is operating in bad faith, um, because of his unnuanced approach to how he went or how he's going about suing all these different exchanges or currencies or people in the space, um, or not suing the people, but really like, you know, ignoring them, but then suing their company, and then it's a real mess.
Mm-hmm.
Ultimately, I think that there may be an agenda, and the reason why is that a lot of countries around the world, since the advent of the blockchain and of cryptocurrency, they are piloting their own CBDC, which is a central backed digital currency, or central bank digital currency. And basically, it's a it's a currency that's based off of blockchain technology. And the benefits of that is that you have cross-border payments that are super fast. They can monitor your transactions. It will be permissioned, which means that they can block transactions or reverse transactions, which is the antithesis of what a public and open blockchain is. And so Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum, these all pose threats, competition to rolling out a CBDC, right? And so if we can discredit cryptocurrency enough, it allows us to push our, government-backed cryptocurrency.
Okay.
Right.
I get it.
And it just, because the thing is, what a lot of people don't understand is that a cryptocurrency transaction is forever, right? There's no way to hide it. The endpoints, so the in between, there not that there's obfuscation, but it's anonymous, right? But the endpoints, typically the on ramps and the off ramps are not typically anonymous, right? And so what you'll hear in the public or you're hearing in the news, well, cryptocurrency is primarily used for crime. It's like, why would you, if you are committing crime, why would you use something that will eventually trace back to you?
Yeah.
And everyone that
has a footprint that never disappears.
Everyone that has committed crime, right? Everyone that has committed crime in the context of cryptocurrency, most of them, or a significant portion of them, have been revealed, have been found out. They rarely get away.
Yeah.
Or rather, when I say they rarely get away, they have not passed away yet. So there's still an opportunity for them to get found out.
Right. Okay, hang on, Corey. We're gonna have to take a break here. We're about halfway into it. And when we come back, I want you to talk about your book.
Yes.
So this is Community of Technology on WHCR 90.3 FM. We're speaking with Corey F. Stedman, author of the recent book, Cryptocurrency Alphabet, and a cryptocurrency expert. Stay tuned. We'll be right back after a brief musical break.
Know in the world that's gonna be for that beat. woman will sell her precious body for a small piece of paper. It carries a lot of weight. More than great almighty dollar. Talk about I don't know that money is the root of all evil. Too funny thing, some people give me a nickel, brother. Can you spare that? Money can drive some people out of their mind. No good, no good, no good. Don't sell your soul for the money, no, no. Lay down, women will. Money is the root of all evil. Too funny thing, some people give me a nickel, brother. Can you spare that? Money can drive some people out of their mind. Got to have it. I really need it. Give it up, give it up, give it up, yeah. Got to have it. Some people really need it. Give me cash money. I need. Keep me living. How many things have I heard you say? Don't let money rule you. How many things have I heard you say? Don't let money fool you.
Okay, we're back. Community Technology with Stu Reid on WHR 90.3 FM. We're speaking with Corey Stedman, cryptocurrency expert and author of the recently published Cryptocurrency Alphabet. Corey, tell us about your book. Let me just preface. Before the break, you were talking about how a lot of the legislators, at least in this country, are attempting to regulate and or go after a lot of the cryptocurrency exchanges and related activities without really understanding and having a real in-depth knowledge of what cryptocurrency is and how it works. So maybe your book will help us with that. Tell us about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think Elizabeth Warren, for instance, and I really like her. She reminds me of my aunt. She would really benefit from reading the book because a lot of her comments, they tend to really they come off with a lot of misinformation, or they're influenced by a lot of misinformation or disinformation. And the book really goes into various different cryptocurrencies, the premise or the mandate or the purpose behind them, the type, the class, and the just the overall supply and how they function. So when I say type, so generally speaking, there's two types of cryptocurrencies. There's proof of work and proof of stake.
Proof of work and proof of what's the second one?
Proof of work and proof of stake.
Okay.
Right? So proof of work currencies, they are currencies that you have to demonstrate through computational power you have to demonstrate through computational power so that you have so that you're granted permission, or not permission, but you're granted the ability to verify transactions on a blockchain. So the more computational power that you can output, the more likely you are to win the ability to verify transactions for a certain block or for the current block. Proof of work blockchains would be Bitcoin, Litecoin, Dogecoin, and Ethereum was a proof of work cryptocurrency. However, it switched over in September of last year to proof of stake. And this is akin to driving a car and changing the engine from gas to electric. It is analogous to that. Proof of stake currencies such as Algorand, Cardano, Ethereum, Tezos, these currencies, you put up a stake of your currency that you hold, and that grants you the ability to validate transactions on the blockchain. And for validating transactions on the blockchain, in both cases, you are rewarded. Now, in the case of proof of work, is the person who is able to demonstrate enough computational power that they're rewarded. Whereas in a proof of stake is proportional to the amount of stake that you have. So it's very akin to dividends in a stock, meaning to say, if you have X amount of I don't know, Citizens Bank, for instance, or Bank of America, right? They reward you with a dividend for pulling or removing currency out of circulation. The more currency, or not currency, stock. The more stock that's out of circulation, it helps boost the price, and they're rewarding you with a dividend. In the case of a proof of stake network, right? When you remove currency out of circulation, the network rewards you with more currency, right? And by doing that, you're granted the ability to validate transactions on the network and then also vote on proposals in the network itself. And so my book goes into the different currencies, the different types, and then there's classes as well. So there's DEX, there's value transfer, there's smart contract platform, there's storage, and others as well. And so the book goes into the different types and then the different classes, and then also really goes into what value is, right? Value, for something to be valuable, there has to be perceptible scarcity, right? So the reason why the US dollar is considered to be valuable is that, going outside, you're not going to find $100 bill. Right? You may be lucky and find $1. You likely find pennies, but you're not going to find $100 bill scarce, right? Gold is scarce. If you go to any, dirt patch, no matter how much you dig, the likelihood of you finding a gold nugget is extremely rare, right? And for you to find an ounce of gold, you have to move, several tons of dirt for you to get that ounce. So there's a proportion of energy invested to get value, right? And so in regards to value and cryptocurrency is valuable because intrinsically it's able to perform certain functions, right? But then is provably scarce. Unlike fiat currencies, which they're not provably scarce, which is how you get inflation, or as a component of inflation where the government can print up currency at will, right? In the context of cryptocurrency, like for instance, Bitcoin, there's only 21 million Bitcoin ever, and the supply will only get exhausted in way past 2100, right? And so it's provably scarce, and we understand the emission rate. And so what I go through in the book is what value is, what money is, and how that applies to cryptocurrency and how cryptocurrencies intrinsically have value, no different than other forms of money that we've gone through before, like gold, silver, and of course paper fiat money.
Mhm. Now, just for the uninitiated, fiat is traditional currency that's issued and regulated by sovereign governments. Is that right?
Yes. So like the dollar, the US dollar, the euro, the British pound, naira, um, rand, yeah, those are all fiat currencies. They do not have a cap. They don't have a cap, there's no supply cap. Uh, and the way that the government controls inflation is by adjusting interest rates. So that's how they're able to control the supply. By raising interest rates, it makes it more expensive to borrow, and it makes it more expensive to put value onto the market. And by lowering interest rates, it makes it easier and less expensive to borrow and to put value onto the marketplace.
Mhm. So now, how does it work? You say there's a fixed amount of Bitcoin that's out there. I think you said
Mhm.
20 something million.
21 million that will ever
21.
be produced.
Yeah. So now, how does that work, Corey? How does that work that can work for the next 100 years? What are the dynamics of that?
So the source code is openly available and it's baked into the source code, right? So the 21 million cap is baked in, and then the initial emission rate was 50 Bitcoin roughly every 10 minutes. And so, but then on top of that, there's something called a halving, right? So after a period of around 4 years, the emission rate halves. So it was 50, then it went down to 25, then to 12.5, then to 6.25, which is what it is currently right now.
Mhm. So then, what happens when you can no longer print any more Bitcoin? What happens?
So in the year 21XX, when there's no more Bitcoin being emitted onto the network, right?
Mhm.
The way that the network stays alive and to incentivize miners to continually validate transactions is that there's a fee attached to each transaction, and that fee goes towards the miners, and that's how the network stays alive. So the in a proof of work network, the people who validate the network, they make money two ways. They make money through um, the reward of validating transactions, but then also the fees associated with sending currency across the network. They get a piece of that as a fee. And so emitted, when the emissions run out, what's going to take over are the fees in regards to compensating the miners.
Mhm.
But the creator of Bitcoin predicted that by that time the value of Bitcoin will be so high in relation to fiat currencies that the fees will be sufficient, right, for sending transactions across the network.
Mhm. So now, Corey, would you recommend your book to the neophyte if a person knows nothing about cryptocurrency? Would your book serve as a good introduction?
Yes, definitely. It's a primer, so it goes through 26 plus one currencies in depth, and it helps really give a good cross section of the entire landscape, and then serves as a primer or a stepping stone into learning more about the ecosystem itself. When I say ecosystem largely because the way that I look at cryptocurrency, you may come across on like Twitter, there's people called Bitcoin maxis who only believe that Bitcoin is the only cryptocurrency that should exist and everything else is rubbish or whatever. I don't believe that. I believe that the cryptocurrency ecosystem is no different than elements on a periodic table, right? And where elements on a periodic table, they form compounds and they bring forth everything that we see around us. In the cryptocurrency ecosystem, they are currencies that form compounds in a sense that work together. So you have currencies like Chainlink working with Ethereum and Cardano, or you have Ethereum and IPFS through Filecoin that work together for the NFTs. And so when I talk about the ecosystem, I'm talking about all the cryptocurrencies that work together or they play together or they complement one another. They all have their different functions and they all have their place.
How many different cryptocurrencies are there currently?
Oh, there's well over 1,000, well over 10,000. Yeah.
Wow. Are they all going to survive, do you think?
I do not believe they'll all survive, right? And this is mostly, I believe, mostly the asset tokens. And when I say asset tokens, these are currencies that live on top of other blockchains. So, an example or famous example would be like Uniswap, which lives on top of Ethereum, or Curve, which lives on top of Ethereum, and these are decentralized exchanges. But even though they may not survive in the next 5 years, right? And I don't wish for any of them to go away, right? But the technology that they develop within each of these different currencies, they all benefit the rest of the ecosystem, right? So they develop security fixes or bug fixes or unique functions or features, even though they may not catch on, right, and make it to the top 200. The technology or the development is not completely lost, right? The project may die out, but the developers may choose to join a different community that has more support, that has more infrastructure, and bring their talent there. So to answer your question, will they all survive? No, they will not all survive, but the value that's created will get transferred to larger communities, larger currencies that have the infrastructure and the wherewithal to adopt the technology and the value and the code that was developed in the periphery of these in regards to these different currencies.
Now, in addition to buying and reading your book, which I'm going to ask you to tell people how to find it in a moment, how would you recommend the average person to get involved in cryptocurrency, and how, and in what way would you suggest?
So I would suggest getting involved in cryptocurrency by first reading. I'm not saying reading newspaper articles, I'm saying reading in regards to the premises of different currencies, looking at the ecosystems that they each support. So like for instance, Ethereum has a vibrant ecosystem. They have OpenSea, they have Uniswap, they have Curve, they have all these different aspects to them. They have ENS. Tezos has Tezos domains, they have Object, they have Calamint, they have all these different projects and properties that augment the currency itself, the blockchain itself. So reading is very important. Yes, you should invest, right? But invest understanding what you're investing in. Is cryptocurrency is not a get rich quick scheme at all, right? If that's what you're trying to get out of it, I would suggest that you don't get in, right? Cryptocurrency is an escape valve, right? It's a release valve in regards to our siloed, our region locked financial system, right? Because there are problems with our financial system, right? And because we use what we use and it appears that it's okay, we don't really understand the shortcomings of it, right? Once you start using cryptocurrency, your perspective on fiat, your perspective on our traditional banking system will change. And so reading, finding cryptocurrency, purchasing what you can lose, right? If you can lose $10, that's safe enough for you to invest. You invest and you understand how it works. You send a cryptocurrency transaction, you get a domain name, you mint an NFT, right? You create an NFT and then mint it, right? These are things that allow you to participate and give you in-depth experience and knowledge about the space. And yeah, get involved is very important because, when people, as time goes on, you don't want to be the person that is left on the outside that doesn't understand, and everyone has a domain name and everyone is doing this and that, or you can't purchase this off of this website because you don't have any cryptocurrency. Like understand how it works, how it functions, and then you can make a more informed decision.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, tell us how folks can find your book, Corey.
So you can find me on Twitter at my handle is at Corey Desir, COREYDESIR. That's Corey Desir, COREYDESIR. And I have pinned at the top my book. The book is also it's on Gumroad, and I'll tell you the path to it right now. The path to it is CoreyDesir.gumroad.com/L/crypto alphabet. So that's CoreyDesir.gumroad.com/L/crypto alphabet. So CRYPTO alphabet.
Okay, and the title of the book is Cryptocurrency Alphabet by Corey F. Stedman. Corey, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing with us.
Yes, I appreciate it, Stu. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. We've been speaking with Corey Stedman, author of Cryptocurrency Alphabet and Cryptocurrency Expert. Thank you, Corey, for kind of giving us some insight into what's going on with cryptocurrency. And please come back again. This is a complex subject, and I don't pretend to understand it all. I'm sure our listeners would like to have you back again as well. So thank you.
Oh yeah, definitely. Real quick.
Yes.
We will be launching our cryptocurrency wallet around end of July, early August. And so definitely want to come back and go more into depth about that.
Okay, look forward to it. Corey Stedman here on WHR 90.3 FM, Community and Technology. Stay tuned. Every Wednesday, 5 to 6 p.m. Just might learn something. Thanks for checking us out.